Hello everyone, my name is Miss Hester and I just wanted to quickly kind of go over some of the vocabulary cards that I created for this week. The words I chose are abiding, skivvy, rancid, ferocity, and surmised. And the reason I chose these words is because they're not really commonly used in everyday conversation, but they do play an important role in helping readers understand Edward's emotional journey and the tone of the story. So let's talk a little bit about each card and what's on it. So my first card is the word abiding, and I wrote the dictionary definition up here, which is continuing for a long time or enduring. And in my own words, I wrote something that lasts and doesn't fade away. The synonym I chose was lasting. And the sentence I wrote down here says, Abilene had an abiding love for Edward. And in the center, I just drew a little illustration of a heart with a clock inside of it. And I did this to symbolize an emotion like love or passion that doesn't just simply fade away. It lasts for a long time. The next word I chose was skivvy. The dictionary definition of this word is a person who does unpleasant or menial tasks. In my own words, I wrote someone who does chores or dirty work for others. The synonym I wrote is servant, and my sentence says, Lolly joked that Nellie would make a fine skivvy. And bear with me, my picture down here is of kind of like a servant. She's got on a little apron scrubbing the floors. And my next word is rancid. The dictionary definition is smelling or tasting unpleasant due to being old or stale. And in my own words, it says rotten or spoiled with a bad smell. And the synonym I chose is rotten. And my sentence says, the rancid smell of old food filled the trash can. And my picture is of a trash can with kind of like some green fumes coming up from it, showing that it just is has a very unpleasant smell. My next word is ferocity. And the dictionary definition of that is a state of being fierce, intense, or violent. And in my own words, I wrote extreme force or aggressiveness. My synonym is aggressiveness, and my sentence says, the dog barked with such ferocity that Edward feared for his safety. And my picture is of just kind of a mean-looking junkyard dog, kind of growling, showing his fierceness. And my last word is surmised. And the dictionary definition of this is suppose something is true without having evidence or guess. In my own words, I wrote to make a guess based on little information. My synonym is guessed. And my sentence says, Edward surmised that he might never see Abilene again. In my picture, this one was awful. I drew just a person with question marks above their head. They're thinking, they're making a guess about something. And like I said, I chose these particular words because they are likely unfamiliar to a lot of my middle school students, but they help paint a clearer picture of the character situations in the story. So, for example, abiding shows the depth of Abilene's feelings, and ferocity shows the intensity of the dog's behavior. And these words are crucial for making inferences and understanding the emotional tone of the novel. So in my future classroom, I plan to use vocabulary cards on a regular basis. During novel studies or reading units, I will have students create their own cards in a similar way to what I've done here. I'll have them write their definition, have them write their own words to it, the synonym, and write their own sentence using the word. And then I'll help them organize the cards into a vocabulary binder or folder so that they can use these for writing or reviewing them throughout the year. This is going to support vocabulary development, but it also builds reading comprehension and writing skills. It encourages students to make personal connections to words and use them in meaningful context. And I'm so excited to use this strategy in my future classroom, and I look forward to watching each of your videos. Thank you for watching.